Now, Edwin Poots, of course, has resigned as DUP leader after an internal revolt over the restoration of the Stormont Assembly. And for more on this, I am joined now by Minister for Foreign Affairs, Simon Coveney. Minister, extraordinary events on the political landscape in Northern Ireland over the last 36 hours. Give us your reaction to them.
Well, first of all, I mean, they're deeply destabilising for an executive and a government in Northern Ireland that needs the opposite to that. So, of course, we're all concerned. Yesterday morning, I and many other people were welcoming the fact that we had managed to find a way to protect the Assembly and the institutions of the Good Friday Agreement in Northern Ireland by the election of a new First Minister, as well as the reappointment of Michelle O'Neill as the Deputy First Minister. And the expectation was that we would have a plenary session of the North-South Ministerial Council today. All the Irish ministers would go up and we'd meet our new counterparts. And we were focusing on moving on from what had been a difficult and quite a disruptive period in terms of a change of leadership in the DUP. And then all of a sudden, what we thought was a positive outcome started to unravel yesterday when the officers within the DUP and their elected members effectively revolted internally, and Edwin Poots' position became untenable. And I mean, this is so unusual for the DUP because in their 50-year history, they've only ever had four leaders, Ian Paisley, Peter Robinson, Arlene Foster, and until last night, Edwin Poots. So, leadership change isn't something that the DUP do often or easily. And so the fact that Edwin Poots has had only 21 days in the job really is a shock to politics in Northern Ireland. I think there's a whole series of reasons, by the way, why yesterday afternoon Edwin Poots got into real trouble. I think it's partly linked to the way in which the leadership change happened 3 weeks ago when Arlene Foster had to step down.
That there was still rancour there. Can I ask you?
There was still rancour. There was, even the vote for Edwin Poots, was only, I think, 1917. So the party was really split down the middle. Yeah. Jeffrey Donaldson was the other candidate there. So, we knew that Edwin had a real challenge to create stability within the party. And then, of course, the agreement with Brandon Lewis, which was the right thing to do, by the way. Brandon Lewis, in my view, acted appropriately in the last few days.
This is what I wanted to get to with you. The politics of entrenchment in the North. Sinn Féin clearly dug in over the Irish Langauge Act, and then, as unionists would see it, were given a concession by Brandon Lewis. Is the danger not now that the DUP will dig in looking for a similar concession to level that playing field over the Northern Ireland Protocol, and actually that destabilisation that you say that you feared, is coming, is only going to be accelerated because you give one to one party up there, the other side will always have their hand out?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to say that this isn't just about Sinn Féin digging in on a specific issue. I mean, Sinn Féin have very strong views in relation to the need to follow through on commitments that were made 18 months ago in the last big agreement in Northern Ireland, which is called New Decade, New Approach, which was the basis of setting up the institutions again after 3 years of the inability to be able to do that. And, I and the Irish government were in the middle of that. And, we also wanted to see commitments followed through on. And a very important part of the New Decade, New Approach agreement was around language and culture. Not just the Irish language, Ulster Scots as well.
I appreciate all of that, but I suppose what I'm saying is Sinn Féin dug in over the Irish language. The DUP would say that they feel equally strongly over the Northern Ireland Protocol. Brexit has created a huge problem within the North for Northern Ireland unionism.
I mean, digging in.
Where do we go from here? What do you think is likely to happen next? Will we see Stormont collapse?
I mean, just to comment on that, because the impression has been given there that one party was digging in for something new. Like, the digging in here was simply to follow through on commitments that had already been made as part of an overall package and compromise for all the parties. So that was the issue.
But Sinn Féin, we're talking about not re-electing a deputy leader. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, I understand the point you're making, but just so that your listeners know, I mean, 15 years ago, the British government committed in an agreement with the Irish government and with parties in Northern Ireland to legislate to recognise the Irish language as part of Northern Ireland.
And I absolutely appreciate that. But what's going to happen now, important, in your view, to Northern Ireland politics?
Right? So, I mean, the honest answer is we don't know. We need to give the DUP some space. That's the first thing, rather than putting them under any more pressure. The DUP is a party that operates, in a way that is quite, separate from the public eye normally, and so we do need to give the leadership of the DUP space now to go through the process of electing a new leader, whether that involves a competition or a rallying behind one figure. We'll have to wait and see. I suspect they'll want to do that quickly because they won't want to leave this vacuum for very long. And of course, Northern Ireland needs them to do it quickly as well, because Northern Ireland faces many challenges from North-South cooperation, East-West cooperation, the protocol, coming out of the pandemic, rebuilding an economy. The last thing Northern Ireland needs now is an election in the short term. There's due to be an election next May, but there's a lot of work to do between now and then. We need to try to support a party like the DUP to actually re-elect a new leader to stabilise their party, which is the largest party in Northern Ireland, so that we can get back to functioning with an executive that has a leadership that's stable and strong. And that is going to take some time, but I do expect them to move a lot quicker this time than, for example, it may have taken to manage Arlene Foster's departure.
And we shall wait and see what happens.